Welcome, everybody. Good to see you back on this Wednesday. We are working on our Preschool the Finnish Way series today. We are on number 8, creating calm and balance. So this is going to be a discussion in this presentation about how Finnish preschools cultivate an atmosphere of tranquility. Not just as a preference where the teacher wants it to be a certain way, but as a pedagogical necessity, right? Pedagogical necessity. So what I mean by that is research shows that students who are in a calm environment, not just like by sound, but what they see, the toys around them, the atmosphere of the room, the way the room is designed, all of those things are connected to how a student feels in the classroom and how they can be able to calm themselves, how they can be able to learn and play in the classroom. So we're working on creating this kind of an atmosphere. And why does it matter? Well, to be honest, our world is always noisy and it's always moving, right? There's constant movement in our world. And nowadays, with the screens and the 20-second TikToks and things just going by so quickly, there's very little places where we can find calm. So we often focus on curriculum and milestones in preschool, right? However, the Finnish approach begins with a fundamental truth, which is that children learn best when they feel safe, calm, and connected. And calm is not something that I'm talking about where I want you to think that the calm means quiet. I'm not talking about having a quiet classroom. I'm talking about having a calm classroom. It is the neurological foundation of learning. When a child's nervous system is regulated, their capacity for curiosity, empathy, and problem solving expands exponentially. Without emotional safety, true learning cannot take root. A common misconception is that calm children are simply well behaved, or they are shy, or they're just quieter than other kids. But in Finland, the reality is different. Calm is designed, not demanded. So it's very intentional. We move away from rigid clocks and scheduling and move toward a more natural flow of energy that respects a child's biological needs. We also intentionally curate an environment where it's lower sensory overload, right? Rather than stimulating the nervous system, we design the classroom with colors and with spaces that are calming. And then third, we intentionally create a teacher presence. The educator acts as the emotional anchor, modeling regulation through voice and posture. So being at the child's level. If we have 2 and 3-year-olds in preschool, right, they're little people. So standing over them, a tall adult, is not calming. It's not relaxing. So if we go to the floor level where they're at and talk with them and play with them and learn with them in this area, it's safer for them. Rhythm is also a very intentional part of the preschool program. Anxiety often stems from uncertainty or being unsure. When a child cannot predict what comes next, their brain remains on high alert. In contrast, rhythm reduces anxiety because predictability builds peace. So how do we do this? How do we create this rhythm? Every day, we do several things. One, we have our morning connection where we welcome the children. We have a circle integration time, and we do an emotional check-in. We offer uninterrupted play so that children can take time and really focus on whatever it is they're playing. There's always time for outdoor exploration. So fresh air and nature help to regulate energy levels and sensory input. Nature is actually a very calming place to be. And then we do a rest and a reboot, right? After all this activity, after all this exploring, our mind has been running and working and growing and learning. We need to have a rest time. So quiet time to process the morning stimuli and recharge for the afternoon. And finally, we have our closing circle. So reflecting on the day together before our day ends. Imagine arriving at work and not knowing if you'll be in a meeting, if you're at your desk, if you're asked to travel. It's an underlying stress, the uncertainty. I can share with you in my own experience. I went to a school and was not told exactly what was expected of me at the school. And it was difficult for me to settle in, to know what to do, because I just wasn't sure. And kids are the same way. That underlying uncertainty just creates anxiety within and doesn't allow children to process and think clearly. Children relax when they know what comes next, right? Visual schedules, consistent routines act as an external brain, helping students to calm themselves. It allows them to release that mental load of what's happening and be able to just be in the class, learning and playing. The predictability is a form of emotional safety that tells the child, you are safe here, and what we're going to do makes sense. The environment also shapes how we feel and respond to the people around us. So the physical space is called the third teacher. I know we did a session where the third teacher was nature. So the physical space is more of an abstract teacher, but it's a very intentional and important part of the day. In Finland, the room itself teaches regulation through light, layout, and flow. When I was in the classrooms in Finland, it was obvious that the kids had the space to explore. They could go out in the hallway if they wanted a little cubby to read or learn from. They were in the classroom. They had a sofa. They had pillows. They had bean bags. They had balls that they could sit on. Different ways for a child to self-regulate. And they were just there, being used or not being used, but they were there as an option. So notice the absence of visual noise, right? Some teachers, I walk into their classrooms and their walls are plastered with pictures or learning posters. Even students were artwork. But even that can cause chaos in a sensory way, right? So instead of using neutral tones, natural wood, and daylight, it creates chaos. And we don't want that. We want our decorations, we want our focus, we want it to be on their opportunities, their free time, their free space. The teacher's nervous system is an anchor. The most powerful tool in the classroom isn't a toy or a curriculum guide. It's the teacher. It's you. Calm teachers create calm classrooms. We can model and support our young students by co-regulating with them, showing them how we breathe and calm down will help them to do the same. We can use a warm tone for listening and understanding, even in the midst of a fight or anger. And we can get down to the eye level of where our students are so that they can see us as co-creators in the classroom, part of the community. Nature brings emotional balance. We did a whole video on this. It was, I believe it was session 3 or 4. In Finland, the outdoors is not just a place to burn energy, it's a place to find balance. The sensory inputs of nature, the sound of the wind, the texture of the pine cones, the uneven ground, they're all complex, yet they're very soothing. I am sure if you were anxious and stressed, if you went outside and just took a few minutes to walk around, maybe walked in your bare feet, grounded yourself in nature, you would discover, oh, I feel a little bit better, right? My brain is working, a little less brain fog. And students are the same way. So one of the biggest challenges in preschool is transitions. We have a little bit more chaos. Students are not sure exactly what's expected. They're not sure where they're going, and they're anticipating some excitement. Maybe they're going to go outside and play. So they're excited about what's going on. So they're a little bit more active, and it can feel a little more chaotic. So there's a 3-step formula that we can use to maintain a thread of connection and calm. First, let's slow it down. Rushing is the enemy of regulation. And in our world today, everybody is rushing everywhere, right? They all want to get to wherever it is they're going. But sometimes the journey and getting there is just as much fun. So slowing that down for the youngsters and giving them an opportunity to do things at their own pace. Create predictability. So this is where that routine is really important. Use the same song, use the same sound, use the same visual cue every time so that the brain can identify the pattern and calm down and know, oh yes, now we are going to play outside. I need to clean up my toys. I need to go over here so that I'm ready to safely move to the playground. And last, connection is first. Connect before you correct or direct, right? We're not just standing above the students at the doorway, hollering commands, asking the students to clean up, hurry, 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 let's clean up, right? We want to help and support them, work with them, show them, model to them how to clean up and put their backpack away and be ready for the next thing. Sensory safety. So overstimulating looks like bad behavior, overstimulation, but it is often just a nervous system overwhelmed by input. So to create sensory safety, we must edit our environments. Less noise, use textiles, rugs, and soft furnishings to dampen the sound. Less clutter, rotate toys. Instead of having all the toys possible, create stations and rotate through those stations, keeping surfaces clear. Visual silence allows for mental focus. And provide more calm. Introduce soft ambient lighting instead of harsh overhead fluorescence. So in the Finnish National Agency for Education, emotional safety is the foundation of learning. Without it, cognitive development is compromised, right? At this age, it is so important that their brains have opportunities to grow. And the Education Finland states that calm adults lead to calm children. The emotional state of the educator is the climate of the classroom. So if you're having a bad morning, most likely your class is going to too, unless you take a few moments and calm yourself as well. So what are 3 ways to bring more calm to your class tomorrow? You don't need to renovate your building to start. Here are just 3 practical shifts you can implement immediately. 1, like I said, slow down. 1, transition. Pick one chaotic moment, maybe cleanup or lunchtime, and slow it down by 50%. Use a whispering voice, dim the lights, and move gently and quietly. Watch how the children match your energy. 2, create one calm corner, right? So if you have a lot of going on in your classroom, remove just one small corner and see how the students embrace it and use it. And lastly, use rhythm as regulation. Review your daily flow. Are you rushing the children? Create a visual rhythm chart using soft pastel tones that children can reference to feel secure about what comes next. So I would like for you to comment in our comments below. Where can you add more calm tomorrow? Take a moment to visualize your day. Is there a friction point where slowing down, lowering your voice, dimming the lights might simplify the outcome and make it more enjoyable for everybody. Up next is our last video in the series, Designing the Finnish Preschool Environment. So we've talked a little bit about how important it is to have that environment that's conducive to learning. In our last lesson, we will set that environment out clearly to help you move from the emotional atmosphere to the physical architecture of the classroom. Thanks for listening.